She inherited a decaying Gothic manor that hadn't known occupancy in 45 years. And every single soul in the village scoffed when the lone mother of one truly settled in. But when Emily uncovered the safe concealed behind her great-uncle's study, she unearthed something valued at $192 million that would transform their scorn into frantic appeals for forgiveness. Before we plunge into the tale, be sure to slam subscribe because tomorrow we bring an extraordinary story for you that will shatter your expectations. The downpour pounded against the windshield of Emily's 17-year-old Toyota as she approached the wrought-iron gates of Blackthorn Hall. Her daughter Sophie sat silently in the back seat, hugging her plush fox, eyes wide as she absorbed the enormous edifice emerging through the tempest. 3 levels of neo-Gothic architecture ascended into the overcast sky, adorned with towers, pointed arch windows, and chiseled stone grotesques that appeared to leer down at them. "Mama," Sophie murmured, "are we truly going to live here?" Emily compelled a grin into the rearview mirror. "Just for a time, sweetheart, until we sort things out." The reality was, they had no other options. The foreclosure notice had arrived last month. Her night shift at the cafe had reduced her hours. The preschool demanded payment in advance now. And then, like some warped fable, the envelope came from an attorney in Chicago. Her great-uncle Harold Blackthorn, whom Emily had encountered precisely twice in her life, had passed and bequeathed her the family property in Oak Ridge, Illinois. Emily hadn't even realized she had a great-uncle still living, much less one who possessed a manor. But here they were, arriving at gates that moaned in resistance as she forced them apart, corrosion shedding like ancient wounds. The pebble driveway was more overgrowth than rock now. As they ascended the slope, the complete scale of the house unveiled itself. Paint flaked from every facade. Louvers dangled at strange angles. The encircling veranda drooped in spots like a scowl, but the framework endured, sturdy granite and brick that had endured over a century of Illinois blizzards. Emily parked and turned to Sophie. "Ready for an exploration?" Her daughter nodded, though her hold on the fox intensified. They dashed through the deluge to the imposing front entrance. Emily struggling with the vintage bronze key the attorney had mailed. It required both hands and her shoulder to shove the door ajar. The hinges wailed their objection. Inside, the odor struck them first. Generations of grime, aged timber, and something else. Isolation, perhaps. The entrance hall extended up 3 stories. A chandelier shrouded in spiderwebs suspended like a jeweled arachnid. Their footfalls reverberated on the marble floor. "It's like a fortress," Sophie exhaled. Emily placed down their duffel bags, 2 sacks holding everything they possessed that counted. The power was meant to be activated, per the attorney. She located a switch and toggled it. Nothing. Then, with a hum and sputter, bulbs started illuminating throughout the house. Not all of them, but sufficient to banish the darkness to the edges. "Let's discover," Emily said, grasping Sophie's hand. Chamber after chamber disclosed furnishings draped in pale cloths, like spectres paused mid-waltz. A sitting room with a grand piano untouched for decades. A banquet hall with a table that could accommodate 20. A scullery with fixtures from the 1950s that somehow still shone beneath the film. They mounted the sweeping staircase, Sophie tallying each riser 44 in total. The second level contained 8 bedrooms, each with its own hearth. The third level, accessed by a tighter stair, was all staff quarters, small chambers under angled ceilings. "Which chamber do you claim?" Emily inquired. Sophie selected one on the second floor with soft lavender wallpaper and a window nook overlooking what must have once been landscapes. Emily claimed the chamber adjacent, linked by a lavatory with a pedestal tub. That initial evening, they consumed jelly sandwiches on the floor of Sophie's chamber and played cards by the glow of Emily's phone. The house groaned and shifted around them, producing noises that sent Sophie diving into Emily's sleeping bag. "Is it haunted?" Sophie whispered. "No, darling. It's just ancient." like when Grandpa's joints crack when he rises. But even Emily had to concede the house felt vibrant in a manner that vacant spaces shouldn't. The following dawn delivered sunshine and their initial callers. Emily was trying to scrub the scullery when the doorbell told a profound resonant tone that resounded through the house. She opened the door to find a woman in her late 60s, impeccably coiffed hair and a smile that never touched her eyes. "You must be Emily," the woman said. "I'm Evelyn Harrow, president of the Oak Ridge Preservation League." Word spreads quickly when someone finally occupies Blackthorn Hall. "News travels fast," Emily replied. "In a town of 35,000. "Oh, indeed." Evelyn craned past Emily into the entrance hall. "You know, we've petitioned to have this place raised for years. It's a blight. Drags down every appraisal in the county." Emily's back stiffened. "Well, I live here now, so you'll need a new target." Evelyn's smile thinned. "Naturally, though I can't fathom why anyone would choose to. What do the kids call it?" "Ah, yes, the slaughterhouse." "The what?" "Oh, didn't the attorney tell you? Your great-uncle Harold resided here alone for 45 years after his brother perished under peculiar circumstances. Some swear Harold murdered him for the estate. He never set foot outside afterward. Groceries delivered, curtains drawn. On Halloween the children dare one another to ring the bell." Evelyn lowered her voice. "Between us, dear, you'd be wiser to sell. I know contractors who'd pay handsomely for the acreage once this eyesore is demolished." Emily's fists tightened. "Thank you for the visit." She shut the door on Evelyn's objections and sagged against it, pulse racing. Slaughterhouse. Naturally there was more to it. There always was. Over the following days, more callers arrived. The postman, Gary, seemed friendly enough, though he noted mail had been stacking up for months. Wasn't she anxious raising a child in that place? The grocery runner, her car had picked that week to die, said his abuela swore the hall was hexed. Even the lineman who restored full power shook his head and grumbled about foolish urbanites when he thought she was out of earshot. But it was in the town plaza, when Emily braved the trip to register Sophie at school, that the ridicule truly settled on her shoulders. She'd parked at the meter, the car had granted one last reliable day, and was guiding Sophie toward the office when the whispers began. "That's her," a woman hissed to her companion. "The one who moved into Blackthorn Hall with a kid." "What sort of mother?" "Desperate, obviously. Heard she some welfare case from Detroit." "Well, she'll find out. They all do. That house rejects occupants." Emily kept moving, chin high, but heat flooded her face. Sophie, mercifully, was distracted by a spaniel on a leash. At the school, the receptionist, Mrs. Alvarez, stayed courteous, though Emily caught her swapping looks with a coworker when she listed their address. "Blackthorn Hall," Mrs. Alvarez echoed deliberately. "I'll need to amend our bus schedule. We haven't had a stop there in, well, decades." The principal, Mr. Lang, was summoned. Tall, gentle-eyed, he knelt to Sophie's height and asked her favorite subjects. Rising, he spoke to Emily with worry. "Miss Brennan," Emily corrected. "Just Miss." "Miss Brennan, I should warn you, there are tales about that house. Children may repeat them. We'll do our utmost to curb any harassment." "My daughter is tougher than she appears," Emily cut in. "We both are." Toughness frayed, though, when they stopped at the cafe for lunch. Conversation actually ceased when they entered. Every gaze tracked them to their booth. The waitress, scarcely 20, approached warily. "You're the ones living up at the old Blackthorn place." "Yes," Emily sighed, weary of the refrain. "Wow, that's gutsy." The girl leaned closer. "My mom says nobody's lasted more than a month there since old Harold barricaded himself inside. Says the house itself expels people. Can we just order, please?" Emily asked. They ate fast. Sophie sensed the stares and murmurs. On the way out, Emily overheard, "Give it 10 days. That place will shatter her just like it shatters everyone." That night, back in the manor that apparently meant to shatter them, Emily tucked Sophie in and perched on the window seat, staring out at the tangled gardens. "Why don't people like our house?" Sophie asked. Emily weighed her words. "Sometimes people fear things that are different, or old, or that they can't explain. But it's only a house, sweetheart, and it's our house now." After Sophie drifted off, Emily roamed the corridors with a flashlight. The attorney had forwarded a rough blueprint, but the place held secrets far beyond it. She discovered a ballroom on the ground floor, its parquet warped yet still tracing elaborate motifs. A greenhouse with shattered panes that once sheltered a forest of greenery. A study lined with bare shelves climbing to the ceiling. She was in the study, fingertips grazing the dusty shelves, wondering what volumes had once filled them, when she spotted it, a seam in the paneling that didn't align with the rest. She pushed. Nothing. Tugged at the shelves. They held fast. Then her hand brushed a small brass plaque, nearly erased by decades of grime. She wiped it with her sleeve, revealing an inscription. "Wisdom is the key that unlocks every gate. H.B. Harold Blackthorne." Emily examined the shelves again. They were built in segments. One section, though matching the wood, was clearly newer, perhaps 1970s craftsmanship. She tested bookends and ornamental carvings, feeling faintly foolish. Then her fingers found a tiny lever concealed behind carved ivy at the top. She pulled. With a click and a groan, the entire bookcase pivoted inward. Emily's heart pounded as she aimed her flashlight into the void. A secret room absent from every plan. She stepped inside and her breath snagged. It was a library, flawlessly preserved, books lining every wall, their spines glinting in the beam. A hulking desk commanded the center, papers still strewn across it. Persian carpets muffled the floor. Oil portraits in gilt frames hung between the shelves. But it was the object at the far end that buckled Emily's knees. A vault door, massive, bank-grade steel with a dial combination, set into the wall as though poured with the foundation, though plainly added later. She approached, her reflection twisting in the burnished surface. Another inscription, etched directly into the metal. For Emily, when the scorn grows unbearable. Harold. Emily's hands trembled. How could Harold have known? He died 7 months ago. They'd met only twice, once when she was 6, once at her father's funeral 12 years back. How could he have foreseen her arrival here, desperate and ridiculed? She touched the cold steel and noticed an envelope taped beside the dial. Her name in spidery script. Inside, a single sheet. "My dear great-niece." They laughed at me, too. For 45 years they spun their tales and fed their myths. Let them. What lies beyond this door is your birthright, not merely wealth, though there is that, but proof that the ridiculed can rise to rule. The combination is your father's birthday, followed by yours. He would be proud you came, proud you dared to seize what is yours despite their venom. All my love. Harold. P.S. The filing cabinet combination is Sophie's birthday. Yes, I followed her too. Blood remembers, even at a distance. Emily read it 3 times, tears sliding down her cheeks. Then, with shaking fingers, she approached the dial. Her father's birthday, 072265. Her own, 091893. The tumblers clicked. The heavy handle turned, and the vault door swung open. The vault door opened with startling silence, as though it had waited half a century for this precise instant. Emily's flashlight sliced through the gloom inside, revealing not the modest safe she'd imagined, but an entire chamber. Her legs nearly gave out as she crossed the threshold, the air dropping several degrees. The first thing that struck her was the scent. Not mildew or rot, but the clean, sharp aroma of preservation, like stepping into a sealed archive. Motion sensors triggered overhead lights, flooding the space in warm glow. Emily's flashlight clattered to the floor. The room extended 22 feet, every inch organized with surgical precision. Along the left wall rose steel shelving units packed with cedar crates and acid-free boxes. The right wall held built-in cabinets with glass fronts. Inside, Emily glimpsed rolled canvases, thick folders, and what looked like illuminated manuscripts, but it was the center that dropped her to her knees. A walnut table commanded the space, and spread across it like a warlord's ransom were stacks of bearer bonds, edges still razor-sharp. Beside them sat open mahogany cases spilling gold coins that blazed under the lights. American Eagles, Austrian Philharmonics, British sovereigns, hundreds, maybe thousands. Emily's hands shook as she neared the table. A vellum portfolio lay open. She recognized her great-uncle's spidery script. Final inventory, April 9, 2024. Bearer bonds, $94 million face value, matured value as of this date almost equal to $121 million. Gold holdings, 45,000 troy ounces, current value almost equal to $90 million. Art collection, see manifest, estimated value $45 to $65 million. Manuscripts and incunabula, see catalog, estimated value $9 to $13 million. Total estate value almost equal to $265 to $289 million. Emily read it 3 times before the figures sank in. Over $250 million. Hidden in a manner everyone ridiculed. Her laugh cracked into a sob. But it was the letter clipped to the portfolio that rewrote everything. Emily, if you are reading this, my equations held true. You arrived at the precise moment of greatest need. The village spent 45 years weaving tales of the mad Blackthorn recluse. Let them keep their fables. The truth is richer. During the war, World War II, I was 24 and attached to the Monument's men, though history erased the women. We rescued what we could from the Rye, paintings, codices, relics that would have vanished into bunkers or private vaults of monsters. After the armistice, repatriation channels twisted into politics, bribes, and red tape. So I kept certain pieces safe, awaiting the right hands. That moment never arrived. Regimes collapsed. Heirs perished. Archives burned. I concluded my duty was not restitution but guardianship until someone with purer judgment appeared. The gold came later, fees for discreet conservation contracts, compounded investments, a timber inheritance from my brother that, despite local legend, arrived by will, not murder. I lived frugally so this could compound. I never wed, never sired heirs. I observed from windows as my kin scattered, suffered, endured. I observed you, Emily. The teenager who juggled 2 jobs for her father's chemo. The young woman who chose motherhood when every voice urged termination. The mother who refused to break though the world kept swinging. You possess what I lacked, someone worth every battle. The bonds can be redeemed anonymously. The gold liquidated in stages. The art and books demand discernment. Some belong in museums. Some have rightful heirs to locate. Some are mine outright, acquired cleanly across decades. I trust your conscience to sort them. First, secure your future. Shield that fierce daughter. Let the village sneer, you'll be too occupied forging a dynasty to care. With love and awe. Harold. Emily wiped her cheeks and surveyed the chamber with fresh sight. This was not merely fortune. It was a duty, a chain of stewardship and reckoning that her great-uncle had shouldered alone for decades. She moved to the filing cabinets, punching Sophie's birthday into the digital lock. Inside lay meticulous ledgers, provenance chains, bills of sale, letters. One folder stole her breath, photographs of Harold as a young man in army fatigues, posed beside crates of rescued art in a gutted cathedral. Another dossier detailed every piece. A tiny Dewar drawing pried from a looted Viennese apartment. An illuminated psalter snatched from a flaming monastery. A jeweled reliquary bought from a white Russian count fleeing the Bolsheviks. Each object carried a history, exhaustively traced and guarded. Emily was so engrossed she missed the footfalls until Sophie's voice rang from the library. "Mom, where'd you go?" Emily 32. Emily's pulse spiked. She slipped out of the vault, easing the door to a crack. Sophie stood in the hidden library, eyes round with delight. "Secret room." Sophie squealed. "Is this like Hogwarts?" "Close enough, sweetheart." Emily knelt. "But this is our private secret, okay? Just you and me." Sophie nodded gravely, then beamed. "Can I look around?" While Sophie marveled at the leather-bound volumes and gilt frames in the library, Emily returned to the vault. She needed to think, to strategize. The bonds alone could anchor them forever. But this was larger than money. This was restitution, repatriation, honoring her great-uncle's perilous labor. She snapped photos of the inventory, then sealed the vault. The lock thunked shut. Tomorrow she'd retain counsel, outside Oakridge, far from village tongues. Tonight she needed to absorb the earthquake. But secrets unravel fastest in small towns. It began with the electrician. 3 days after Emily's discovery, Sam Whitaker, no kin to the principal, arrived to chase the kitchen's stuttering bulbs. He was affable, rattling on about his twins and the harvest fair. Emily left him to it while she guided Sophie through spelling in the main library, not the hidden one. She never saw Sam's curiosity tug him to the study. Never noticed the bookcase left her fingers with the jar that morning. Never watched his jaw drop as he glimpsed the secret shelves, though the vault, mercifully, stayed sealed. By supper Sam had told his wife. By breakfast his wife had told her cousin at the bakery. By lunch half the village buzzed that the Brennan woman had unearthed something colossal in the old manor. Trouble's first knock came when Evelyn Harrow reappeared, flanked by 2 Preservation League officers and a man in a charcoal suit who announced himself as a heritage attorney. "We hear you've uncovered intriguing items," Evelyn said, smile honed like flint. "Blackthorn Hall is a designated landmark. Any artifacts discovered within fall under municipal oversight." "This is private land," Emily cut in. "My land. And I haven't discovered artifacts." Not a full lie. She'd discovered destiny. The attorney advanced. "Miss Brennan, if culturally significant objects exist, the county has jurisdiction." "Jurisdiction over what?" "Confiscation." Emily's voice turned steel. "I know the law. Please leave." They retreated, but Emily watched them cluster in the drive, Evelyn stabbing at her phone with theatrical fury. That afternoon brought 3 more callers. First, the mayor, Leonard Crane, oozing civic warmth and veiled threats about community legacy until Emily closed the door mid-sentence. Then the developer Evelyn had name-dropped, waving a 7-figure offer for the raw acreage. Emily never let him cross the threshold. The third visitor was different. He didn't knock. Emily found him in the herb garden while hauling trash. A middle-aged man in tailored clothes photographing the manor with a pro-grade camera. "Can I help you?" she called. He flinched, then flashed a smile that never reached his eyes. "Just admiring the architecture. Superb neo-Gothic specimen. I'm a collector, art, antiques, period fittings. The manor isn't for sale. Everything has a price." He produced a card. "Vincent Royce. I specialize in acquiring heritage assets. Word is you've unearthed some fascinating pieces." Emily left the card hanging in the air. "You heard wrong." His grin slipped. "I also guide people who've stumbled into sudden affluence, tax mazes, security protocols, unwelcome scrutiny. It can swamp the uninitiated. The menace was velvet-wrapped. Emily kept her face blank. I appreciate the worry. I'm managing. Are you? He flicked a glance at the looming facade. Vast house for a woman and a small child. Plenty of shadows. Plenty of entries. Emily's pulse iced. Are you threatening me? Offering counsel? He lowered the camera. Villages gossip. When the gossip turns to buried troves, predators prick up their ears. My firm can erase complications. He strode off before she could retort, leaving her in the garden, heart-battering ribs. She memorized the black Bentley's plate as it purred away. That night she triple-checked every lock, jammed chairs beneath knobs, and kept vigil in the main library with Harold's antique coach gun across her knees. Every groan of the old timbers jolted her. At 3 a.m. came the crash, glass, ground floor. Emily snatched the gun and phone, thumbed 911, then slipped into Sophie's room. Her daughter slept on, thumb in mouth. Emily locked the door from inside and planted herself between bed and entry. Footfalls, measured, practiced, ghosted across the parquet. Not kids, a pro. They swept the lower level, then ascended the grand stair. Emily's grip whitened on the stock. Pause on the landing. Then toward the study. Of course. Someone had talked. Someone knew. She heard the bookcase scrape open, too fast, too smooth. Sirens wailed, distant but closing. The intruder bolted, boots thundering now, front door banging wide. Engine snarling into the night. By the time police arrived, only shards remained. Deputy Alvarez, every third soul in Oakridge seemed kin, took the report while his partner dusted for prints. Nothing missing, he pressed again. Nothing worth stealing, Emily lied. Just dusty furniture and books. He didn't buy it, but couldn't disprove it. They plywood the window and vowed extra drive-bys Emily didn't trust. Next morning she made 2 moves. First, she booked a Chicago security firm for same-day install, cameras, motion beams, panic room. Second, she drove 2 hours to the city and entered the marble lobby of Langford and Pierce, LLP, specialists in ultra-high net worth estates. Marisol Pierce, mid-50s, razor gaze, heard Emily's sanitized version, surprise inheritance of valuable assets, escalating harassment, daughter's safety. How valuable? Marisol asked. Emily slid the phone across, photos of the inventory. Marisol's pen froze, but her face stayed neutral. Understood. She leaned back. Priority 1, harden your perimeter. Then we administer the estate correctly. Do you have a safe bolt hole while we work? Emily pictured Sophie curled under lavender wallpaper, finally rooted. We're not leaving the manor. Marisol studied her. Then we turn it into a citadel. I know discreet operators. But Emily, may I call you Emily, this magnitude of wealth rewrites gravity. Everything changes. Every relationship, every glance, people will envy you for it, try to steal it, try to burn you for possessing it. Are you ready for that? Emily pictured the sneers she'd already swallowed, the murmurs, the venom. She pictured her great-uncle barricaded for 45 years, guarding his silence. They already hate me, she said softly. Now I'll have the means to hit back. Marisol smiled for the first time. I'm going to enjoy this case. On the drive home she spotted the black Bentley 3 cars back. Vincent Royce wasn't quitting, neither was she. That evening she stood in the vault again, Sophie at her side. Her daughter's eyes were moons, drinking in the gold, the enigmatic crates, the hush of secrets. Is this ours? Sophie whispered. It's ours to guard, Emily corrected. Great-Uncle Harold rescued all this, kept it safe. Now it's our watch, from anyone who'd weaponize it. She knelt, met Sophie's gaze. We'll also use it to help people, to do right, to prove we belong here as much as any of them. Sophie nodded solemnly. Like superheroes. With a secret lair and everything. As they sealed the vault together, Emily felt the mantle settle, responsibility, yes, but also power. Not just money, but the power to shield her child, honor Harold's mission, and transmute the village's contempt into something unrecognizable. Let them mock the broke single mom who dared claim Blackthorn Hall. They had no clue what was coming. What happens next will rewrite not just Emily's life, but all of Oakridge. If you're hooked, like, share, subscribe for more. The security crew rolled in at first light. 8 operatives in plain vans who armored the manor without scarring its Gothic skin. Concealed cameras, infrared beams, ballistic glass retrofits, all installed with surgical silence. The team lead, ex-Delta named Reyes, walked Emily through the grid. Uninvited soul crosses 50 feet, your phone screams. Best defense is the kind nobody sees. While they wired, Marisol Pierce arrived with her own battalion, forensic accountants, conservators, a World War II restitution scholar. Catalogue first, Marisol said. Separate repatriable items from clear title. Bonds go quiet, gold trickles out through blind trusts. Dr. Layla Hassan, the historian, was already in the vault, eyes glassy over the files. This is monumental. Harold wasn't just hiding art, he was hiding proof. She lifted a sepia print. This ties the Rosenberg cache to living heirs. They've sued museums for 70 years. Emily felt heat behind her ribs. Then they get it back. That sketch alone is 8 figures, Marisol noted. It was never mine to sell. Weeks blurred. The manor hummed with discreet traffic, experts in at staggered hours, out before dusk. Sophie rode to school with big sister escort Kira, 23, art history grad student, 4th degree in 3 disciplines. But the village's gaze sharpened. The break-in hit the Oakridge Gazette. Sam the electrician had boasted to every Barstool about the hidden library, and Vincent Royce's Bentley haunted the periphery like a shark. The showdown erupted in the produce aisle. Emily was testing peaches when Evelyn Harrow boxed her in, 3 Preservation League cronies in tow. "We know you found something," Evelyn hissed. "The whole village knows. It belongs to us, part of our history." "The only thing I found," Emily said evenly, "was a roof for my daughter." "You're a nobody," Evelyn spat, mask finally shattered. Some welfare case from Detroit who thinks she can waltz in and steal what belongs to founding blood. "The Blackthorns were founding blood," Emily cut in. "Harold was my great-uncle. That makes me more Blackthorn than any of you." Evelyn's face went plumb. "You don't belong here. Neither did Harold, by your old stories. He stayed anyway. So will I." Emily abandoned Heristral half-full cart and strode out, hands trembling but chin high. In the lot, Vincent Royce leaned against her SUV. "Public tantrums won't help," he said, almost gently. "Step away from my car. I'm the helpful sort. Locals are cute, but bigger fish are circling. Serious collectors. People who buy discretion with blood if cash fails. People nothing like you." His smile was winter. "I'm your softest problem. Sell to me, take a clean 8 figures, vanish. New names, new continent." "I know my name," Emily said. "And I'm staying." She drove off, his words rode shotgun. That night she phoned Marisol. "How bad?" Marisol exhaled. "Words in the wrong galleries. We're fielding feelers, some politeness, some not. One name repeats, Dmitry Volkov, Russian money, art obsession, zero conscience. What now? We front-run them. I'm incorporating the Blackthorn Trust at Sunrise, shields the assets while you decide their fate. And Emily? Time to seize the megaphone before they do. Emily glanced through the window, Sophie and Kira laughing over a frisbee in the garden. Her daughter had slipped into their new life like it was always hers. How long before the shadows touched her, too? Not yet. Let them stew. But morning rewrote the plan. Emily woke to an envelope slid beneath the steel-reinforced door, impossible past the new grid. Inside, a grainy telephoto of Sophie on the playground. On the back, cursive. Lovely girl. Tragic accidents happen. Volkov rewards cooperation. Hand shaking, she speed-dialed Reyes, then Marisol, then the school. By noon Sophie was home behind blast film, Kira on Overwatch. Local PD took the photo, Marisol looped in FBI art crime. This just leapt past gossip, Marisol said. We go public today or they write the story in tabloids and body counts. The doorbell cut her off. On the monitors, 3 satellite trucks, logos blazing. Someone had leaked the vault. The circus had arrived. Vans ring Blackthorn Hall like carrion birds. Emily watched from the foyer screens as reporters MIC checked and neighbors gawked. Reyes stood beside her, unflappable. Service tunnel to the safe house. Sophie's already en route with Kira. Emily shook her head. No more disappearing. Harold hid 45 years while they spun lies. Not us. She called Marisol, tell legal we're live, here, now, my script. Within the hour Marisol rolled up with crisis PR, 2 cameras, and a stenographer. They staged in the marble entrance, grand staircase as backdrop. Emily changed into her only blazer, plain, pressed, hers. Don't field specifics on value or pieces, Marisol coached. Pivot to the trust and local upside. Emily nodded, stomach knotting. Through the leaded windows she spotted Evelyn Harrow holding court with a knot of neighbors, venom no doubt flowing. Vincent Royce's Bentley idled across the street like a black cat. At 2 o'clock sharp, Emily opened the door and stepped onto the veranda. Cameras pivoted like turrets. The crowd surged. Good afternoon, she began, voice steadier than her pulse. I'm Emily Brennan, great-niece of Harold Blackthorn and legal owner of this manor. She swept the faces, curiosity, doubt, open contempt. Rumors have run wild about discoveries inside. Yes, Harold left more than brick and mortar. He left artifacts, documents, and resources to safeguard them. Murmurs swelled. A reporter barked, "What's it worth?" Emily let the question die. More vital, he left a mission. During World War II, Harold Blackthorn helped rescue cultural treasures from obliteration. He protected history for all of us. Effective today, I'm launching the Blackthorn Trust for Cultural Stewardship. This house will be restored and opened as a museum, celebrating not just Harold's work, but the global fight to save art from war and theft. Further, the trust will seed Oak Ridge's future, grants for small businesses, full-ride scholarships, infrastructure upgrades. The mood flipped. Hostility gave way to mental math. What's in it for me? Blackthorn Hall has been your eyesore too long, Emily said. Time it became what Harold meant it to be, a source of pride and jobs for this village. Questions detonated. Emily stepped back. All details through Trust Council. Thank you. She retreated inside, knees jelly. Marisol gripped her shoulder. Checkmate. Through the glass, the crowd dispersed in excited knots. Evelyn stood rooted, narrative in ruins. Vincent Royce was already speed-dialing darker paymasters. But the faces that lingered in Emily's mind were the ordinary ones, tentative hope flickering where scorn had lived. The shift started at sunrise. Marisol's paralegals burned midnight oil on charters while Emily mapped logistics. First move, local hires. Tom Hargrove, whose construction firm was one bad month from folding, stared at the renovation contract like it was scripture. "This keeps 20 families fed for 18 months, he whispered. "That's the plan," Emily said. She tapped Mrs. Alvarez from the cafe as visitor services lead. The high school civics teacher, Ms. Delgado, became education curator. Every role she could, she filled from Oakridge's struggling roster. The ripple was instant. Hargrove's trucks roared up the drive at dawn. The near-dead lumberyard posted its first profitable week in years. The diner added a second shift to feed the crews. But not everyone cheered. Evelyn Harrow demanded audience, arriving with 2 attorneys and her porcelain smile. "We must define the Preservation League's oversight of this museum," she opened. "No," Emily said. "We don't." Evelyn's smile fractured. "Pardon? You spent months petitioning to bulldoze my home. You called me trash. You made my daughter flinch at her own shadow in the hallways. So no, Evelyn, you have no seat here. You can't just freeze out community pillars. Watch me." Emily rose. "The Blackthorn Trust will partner with anyone who walks through the door in good faith. Those who tried to bury us? You'll have to dig your way back in." Evelyn stormed out, fury crackling. Emily felt no triumph, only the next threat on the horizon. FBI Art Crime had the Volkov file open, but his tentacles still probed. 2 more telephoto shots of Sophie surfaced at the school gate. The message was surgical: "We can touch her anytime." That night Emily convened a war council: Sophie, Kira, hot cocoa all around. "Sweetheart," she told Sophie, "some very bad grown-ups want what great-uncle Harold saved. So for a short while we stay extra careful." "Like spy movies?" Sophie asked, eyes round. "Exactly. Kira's your live-in bodyguard now. School comes to you until the bad guys are in jail. Will it ever be safe again?" Emily hugged her tight. "I swear it will. We just play smart and brave." Morning delivered reinforcements. Dr. Layla Hassan burst in, folders trembling with excitement. "We've matched 17 pieces to living claimants, the Rosenberg heirs in Tel Aviv, the Novak estate in Brno, a shuttered provincial gallery in Normandy. Emily, this is generational justice." "Then they go home," Emily said instantly. "Harold kept them breathing, we give them back their names." The Rosenberg canvases alone. "Not about dollars." Layla's eyes shone. "Harold's watching." The handoffs were hush-hush, but leaks became headlines. Le Monde, Langer d'Oakridge ren des traces vols. The Rosenberg statement wrecked Emily, 80 years we mourned ghosts. Emily Brennan returned our ancestors. Sentiment flipped overnight. The interloper with the jackpot became the woman returning souls. Renovation pushed through snow. Emily livestreamed drywall dust and joist repairs, held town halls in the Grand Salon. First checks rolled out. $60,000 to save the public library's roof. $80,000 for new playground turf. Seed capital for 3 startups on Maine. Sam the electrician, original leak, sidled up at a meeting, hat in hand. "I gotta eat crow. Shouldn't have flapped my gums. You got kids at Lincoln Elementary. 2 girls. Then pour the concrete for their new swings. Teach them fixes beat gossip." He became the playground's fiercest volunteer. Oakridge metabolized the cash. Vacant windows lit up with new signs. The cafe franchised. Hargrove Construction posted a help-wanted banner, 20 hires. Personal U-turns hit harder. Mrs. Alvarez's daughter quit Chicago to curate tours. The retired principal who'd sneered charity case now led dissent training, voice thick with pride. Even a few of Evelyn's league defected, offering archives and apologies. Evelyn herself stayed venomous. Then Vincent Royce flipped. FBI had Volkov's network in a vice. Royce walked into the field office with a thumb drive and a plea deal, wiretaps, account numbers, shipping routes, enough to indict half of Eastern Europe's black market curators. In exchange, witness protection, clean slate. 2 weeks later, dawn raids in 3 countries. Volkov's Liechtenstein vault cracked open on live news. Sophie watched the cuffs from the Manor's new panic room, munching cereal. "Bad guys caught?" she asked. "Caught and caged," Emily said. Sophie raised her cocoa in salute. To superheroes. Outside, spring bulbs pushed through the Manor's newly restored beds. The sign at the gate now read, Blackthorn Hall, Museum and Cultural Trust. Opening summer 2026, free admission for Oakridge residents. The mockery was ash. The empire, built on justice, jobs, and second chances, was just getting started. In exchange for full immunity, he handed over the ledger that gutted the oligarch's trafficking empire. He asked for one sit-down with Emily before vanishing into witness protection. "I'm not here for absolution," he said in the freshly painted education wing. "Just know Volkov's in cuffs. His pipeline's ash. You and your girl are safe. Why flip now?" Royce shrugged. Saw someone actually do good with a windfall. Made the villain gig feel stale. He left without ceremony. Emily felt the vice around her lungs finally loosen. That night she told Sophie the shadows were gone. Back to normal. Sophie grinned. Normal. Emily laughed. "We live in a museum with trapdoors and return lost masterpieces. That's legendary." The grand opening of Blackthorn Hall Museum was set for a Saturday in May, exactly 1 year after Emily had inherited the ruin. The village vibrated. Banners snapped from every lamppost. Local news parked live trucks like siege engines. The night before, Emily walked the halls alone. Dust shrouds were gone, purpose glowed under soft track lighting. Ground floor galleries traced the monument's men and women legacy. Harold's portrait, young, fierce, crate in arms, anchored the main hall. The hidden library remained untouched, now the tour's hush-money climax. The vault stood empty of treasure but rich in narrative, scheduled for VIP walkthroughs only. In the restored ballroom, gala tables waited beneath chandeliers unwrapped from cobwebs. Guests tomorrow, claimant families from 4 continents, senators, scholars, and every Oakridge resident who RSVP'd. Emily found Evelyn Harrow in the foyer, staring at Harold's photo. "She was extraordinary," Evelyn murmured. "I misjudged her." "Misjudged you?" Closest thing to contrition Emily would get. Enough. "She chose solitude because cruelty left her no door," Emily said. "I refused the same cage." Evelyn's eyes flicked to the scholarship plaque bearing her grandson's name. "The trust gave him a future." "Thank you." She slipped out. Emily stood beneath the chandelier where fear had once lived, now replaced by light. The gala outshone every forecast. Laughter bounced off frescoes dormant for decades. The Rosenbergs pressed a small framed portrait into Emily's hands for the woman who gave us back our grandmother. Dr. Layla Hassan announced partnerships with the Sorbonne, the Getty, and Hebrew University. The mayor, who'd once strong-armed her, now toasted visionary stewardship and greenlit Phase 2 expansion. Then Sophie took the MIC unannounced. "My mom fixes broken things," she declared, 8 years old and fearless. "Toys, boo-boos, towns." She showed everyone that different isn't wrong, that family isn't one size, and that the quiet ones are usually the strongest. Thunderous applause. Emily's vision blurred, Sophie's words were the real inheritance. Later, on the Widow's Walk, Oakridge glittered below, new playground lights, library windows aglow, Main Street alive. Marisol joined her, 2 flutes of champagne. "Regrets?" Emily swept an arm across the view. Accountants say I could have kept billions. You're set for life. Exactly, not the way they calculate. Last guest gone, museum hushed, Emily did one final lap. Tomorrow, school groups, researchers, tourists. In Harold's study, Sophie had left a crayon masterpiece on the desk, stick figure mom and daughter flanked by hearts, museum behind them. Caption in wobbly print, home. Emily's tears fell on the paper and dried into tiny stars. She'd arrived broke, ridiculed, clutching eviction papers. She locked the museum doors behind the last guest. The ballroom's chandeliers dimmed to embers. Somewhere down the hall, Sophie was still humming the song she'd made up about secret doors and superheroes. She walked the marble corridor one last time. The house no longer creaked with loneliness. It breathed. It lived. In the hidden library, moonlight spilled through the high windows, silvering the spines of books Harold had guarded with his life. Emily ran a hand along the shelf that had once swung open to reveal a fortune. Now it opened to reveal a future. She paused in the vault, empty, clean, waiting. Tomorrow, a glass case would hold a single brass key on velvet. The plaque beneath it would read, "Some doors open to gold. Others open to courage." In Harold's study, Sophie's drawing lay on the desk like a prophecy fulfilled, two figures, one tall, one small, standing in front of a glowing house. Hearts and stars everywhere. At the bottom, in purple crayon, home. Emily smiled through tears. She had come to Oakridge with 2 duffel bags, an eviction notice, and a daughter who believed in magic even when the world didn't. She left the study, turned off the last light, and climbed the stairs to their private wing. Sophie was already asleep, one arm around her plush fox, the other clutching a tiny replica of the museum key, a gift from the gala. Emily kissed her forehead. "We did it, baby. We broke the curse." Outside, the town slept under a sky full of stars. The playground lights glowed. The library windows shone. Main Street hummed with new life. The woman who had once been mocked as the charity case from Detroit was now the heart of Oakridge. And the manor that had stood silent for 45 years? It sang.